Hello, I am Maaly Khalil and this is assignment 1 for my Sociolinguistics class. Before I start, I am going to explain the term sociolinguistics. It is the study of the language in relation to all the sociable factors that might be related to this. And today, I am going to discuss a sociolinguistic term that actually will appear in the majority of movies in the past and even nowadays. Before I start, I would like to ask you if you have watched that movie before or that one. Those two movies have been translated to many other languages and they're about the same story. It's a very interesting, amazing story to watch, but I am not here today to discuss that. I am here to discuss the language in those two movies.
Look where you're going, dear. Look where you're going.
I'm so sorry.
2 bunches of varlets trod in the mud, a full day's wages.
Sometimes within 2 streets.
Ought to be ashamed of himself, unmanly cow.
Is there a living in that?
Oh, yes, quite a fat one.
Mind his own business and leave a poor girl.
Woman! Cease this detestable boo-hooing instantly, or else seek the shelter of some other place of worship.
I've a right to be here if I like, same as you.
Woman who utters such disgusting and depressing noises has no right to be anywhere, no right to live. Remember that you're a human being with a soul and the divine gift of articulate speech. That your native language is the language of Shakespeare and Milton and the Bible. Don't sit there crooning like a bilious pigeon.
Ow!
The 2 scenes that you have watched represented a sociable situation or phenomenon that is called diglossia. But what is diglossia? The word diglossia can be divided into 3 parts with Greek roots. The first part, which is dia, means 2, exactly like the word dialogue. The second part, which is gloss, means tongue or language. And the last part, which is aya, means event or situation. So let's relate those 3 parts to the meaning of the word. Would be able to find out that the meaning would refer to a situation or event that is happening between 2 languages. So a diglossic situation is a situation where we have 2 varieties of the language. One of those varieties or forms is called high variety and the other form of the language is called low variety. If you remember in the 2 scenes before, would see that the language used by the men was the high variety language and the language used by the woman was the low variety language. According to Charles Vertessen, an American linguist who taught at Stanford University and who was one of the founders of the sociolinguistics science, diglossia is best known for situations where 2 varieties of the language is used side by side and every one of them has a special function. One of those varieties is called the high variety language and the other one is called the low variety language. Ferguson explained that in order to make sure and in order to identify whether this language is diglossic or no, you have to examine 9 pillars, 9 features, 9 characteristics. If found, then the result will give a diglossic situation or language. And let's examine those 9 functions or 9 characteristics together. Number 1, function. The 2 varieties of the language have different functions or job. The high variety language is used in official, governmental offices, while the low variety is used among friends and family members. Number 2, prestige. The high variety language is more prestigious than the low variety language and that's why it's used more by highly educated people. Number 3, literary heritage. All the literary works, literature, would be written, for example, in the high variety language and not the low variety one. 4 is the acquisition. How do we acquire and learn the language? For the high variety language, people learn about it or learn how to speak it in schools, while the low variety language is usually taught by listening at home. 5, standardization. The high variety language is a standard language. It does not change, it follows rules and laws, while the low variety language might be different according to the region, according to the situation, according to many other factors. 6, stability. The high variety language is a stable language. It does not change over time. So maybe for centuries it would be stable. No changes would happen to it. Then we have the grammar. The high variety language would follow the grammatical rules and laws, while the low variety language does not really follow the rules of grammar. Then we have number 8, the lexicon, which is the vocabulary used in the high variety or the low variety language. Now, the low variety language might use some of the words of the high variety language, but not the opposite. And then the end, or the last one, the phonology. Now, according to the phonology, or according to morphology, now more difficulty would be found in the high variety language and not the low variety one. Diglossia versus dialect. So now, after examining the 9 pillars of diglossia, we would conclude that the low variety language would be, of course, the dialects used in the region. Now, according to Fishman, diglossia does not only include 2 varieties of the language, it could include more than 2, plus diglossia might happen with also 2 completely different languages. And this would be called extended diglossia. So we would have the classical diglossia, 1 language, 2 varieties, then the extended diglossia, which is 2 completely different languages used in the same country, or more than 1 dialect or variety of the language. Now, according to Osama Abu, in Abu Bakr Belkaid University, who studied diglossia as well, he concluded that Algeria is one of the countries that you would see a lot of diglossic situations. He explained that you would find classical diglossia when the people speak Arabic, the standard Arabic language, and the dialects related to the regional places. Plus also you would find out that there is an extended kind of diglossia which is used, or which is happening when French interferes in the situation. Why is it important for language learners to know about that? Here we come to the last part of this presentation, and the most important for me. Is it crucial, important for language learners to learn about diglossia? In my opinion, for sure. Why? Because language learners, when they first communicate with foreigners, would feel frustrated for not being able to understand the full idea. But when learning about diglossia, they will be able to communicate well, and they will be able to know that this is a situational or a sociable phenomena that I would be able to overcome if I know more about the dialects of this language. Now, governments and educational institutions are trying to work harder to eliminate the gap between the high variety language and the low variety language. Still, we have to admit that both languages would exist, but people need to be aware of that.